Howdy everyone, my name is Jay, and today we're going to be continuing Minecraft. This video was supposed to be me going into the nether and into the end, and even though I am able to get into both of those, a lot of things get messed up in the recording. I'll get more into it once we get to the parts that weren't recorded or that weren't saved, but for now, let's just continue on into the video. Once I loaded into the game, I decided that I wanted to make it to the end. So I quickly built another portal, grabbed some gold pants, lit said portal, and stepped in. I was loaded into a cave once I entered the nether, and I dug around the portal for a bit to give it a little bit of space. Also blocked off the side of the ravine, and this was mainly because I know how clumsy I am and I didn't want to fall and hurt myself later. I looked around in the caves for a bit to find open ground, but I couldn't find any and took my coordinates just in case I got lost. I quickly dug a hole in the side of the wall and finally entered into an open area. I looked at my surroundings, and while I was looking around, I decided to grab more quartz. I was mainly grabbing quartz to get XP and to fix some of my things, but I also might use it in future projects, and I'm not a big fan of having to go and collect quartz constantly. So I thought getting a little bit at a time as I went to the nether would be better. Even though I remembered to bring my gold pants, I had to go back to the overworld to grab actual gold ingots so that I could use them for trading. I re-entered the nether and found a group of piglins. I dug a hole for them so that I could trade with them. Trapped a baby piglin because I didn't want him stealing the gold, and then I led the other adult piglins into the hole. I started my trading and got rid of a lot of items that I really didn't need or didn't want at the moment, and ended up with 12 ender pearls. I quickly let the piglins out, and I turned all the iron nuggets into ingots before exploring a little bit more. I found some more endermen and decided to piss them off a bit, and killed them for more pearls, ending up with 14. While exploring, I heard a ghast, and instead of being the brave fighter that I am, I decided to hide. I didn't have my bow with me, and I was gonna have to go back into the overworld in order to get it. But I decided to go in a different direction, and I continued trying to get quartz, and then I heard another ghast come close by. I again hid in another hole, and decided that I needed to leave my hiding spot and sprint to the portal. Once back in the overworld, I organized my inventory, put efficiency 5 on my pick, and decided to take a quick break from the nether. I decided to work on the base for a bit and get more deep slate for the build, and I converted the deep slate that I got into deep slate bricks. I started to work a little bit on the arch, and I think it was starting to look nicer. I do have a plan for how I kind of want my base to be, but I'll probably make that video next, so hopefully that'll be coming soon. Now, after I was done making the arch, I realized that this is where one of my recordings messed up. While I was building part of the base, I made sure that I was recording, however, I didn't capture it. I kind of shrugged it off, thinking, well, maybe I didn't hit the record button, but as time goes on throughout the rest of the video, I'm pretty certain there was just something wrong with my recording. But I did end up finding a design that I did like, but I wasn't able to finish it because I wanted to save it for a future video. I decided to go back into the nether and I took my bow with me. I wanted to look around for the fortress so that I was able to get blaze rods. I end up finding a bastion, but I don't know what type it is. I want to say it's a treasure, but I have honestly no clue. I would have gone, but I didn't want to deal with the brutes, and I'm not very good at navigating the bastions just yet. I found a ruined nether portal and explored a bit more. I finally decided to go into the Crimson Forest and stayed up high to get a decent view and so that I wasn't getting hit by the hoglins. I changed my settings in the game to turn off fog, and I won't lie, it looks very different. I'm not used to it, and I've seen other people play without fog in their videos, but for me to play without it just felt very weird. I didn't stay in the Crimson Forest long because I didn't see a whole lot that I could be doing, so I decided that I was gonna leave the Crimson Forest. As I was leaving, I was able to kill a hoglin and even killed a ghast. I explored the areas I explored earlier now that I had the fog turned off to see if I could see a little bit further and hopefully come across the fortress. I ended back near the Crimson Forest and was able to look across, and I saw the fortress right basically where I was. I guess something was blocking my view last time when I was in the Crimson Forest, but yeah, so I went all the way back around and decided to practice my parkour skills on the way. I looked around for the fortress and I killed some blaze while I was looking for a spawner. I actually found 2 blaze spawners, but I decided to just stay at one because I didn't feel like running around. I used fire resistance potions while fighting, and I was able to get 8 blaze rods. I left the fortress, parkoured back to the portal, and got ready to go to the end. I went a bit further into the desert and through the first Eye of Ender, which pointed towards spawn. I made my way to spawn and decided to throw eyes every once in a while since I knew it was going to be about halfway between me and spawn. My base was around 2,000 to 3,000 blocks away from spawn, and then spawn was spawn. So I figured it was going to be halfway, if not a little bit closer to spawn, since it's roughly around the 1,000 block mark. I quickly stumbled upon a savanna with a large lake, and I explored the lake to see if I was able to see the stronghold under the water. I couldn't fight it and started throwing the eye again, and finally it went into the ground. I began to dig around and found the stronghold. This is where the recording messed up again. So once I entered the stronghold, my recording completely turned off, and I didn't notice it until I made it to the portal. So before entering the portal, I decided that I was going to restart both my computer and the recording software. After I restarted it, I loaded it back up again thinking maybe I just messed up once again. I only ran around for about 10 or 20 minutes in the stronghold and didn't really have a lot of fighting to do. It wasn't completely broken up. I found the library, there was nothing interesting in it, and I quickly made it to the portal room. So once I loaded back into the game, I decided, okay, well, let me start the recording. I restarted my recording once I loaded my game up and made sure that everything was running before I hit the end. Once I entered the nether portal, the dragon had become extremely aggressive. Because of this aggression and because of my almost near-death experience when I first entered, I wasn't able to fully pay attention to my recording. It wasn't until after I killed the inner dragon and went into the portal that I realized I wasn't recording the end fight, or I didn't record the end fight at all. Nothing was working. I chalked this up to be that maybe I forgot to press record again, and I felt extremely horrible because I wanted to show the end fight. But I tried to finish the video as best as I could, and at least showed me getting the elytra. Once I pressed record for the 5th or 6th time this episode, I opened the chat for the achievements so that you're able to see what all went on during the end fight. There wasn't much that happened. I didn't die, it was just a lot of close calls. But I wanted to show it to show that I'm legitimately playing this game and I'm not trying to cheat or screw anything up. After showing the chat, I decided to make my way to an end city and built a pillar up to the ship. There were a lot of end cities nearby, but this seemed to be the only one with a ship from what I could tell. And if you're wondering, I had my render distance up all the way. It's a lot easier to do in the end, but once I go back into the overworld, I turn it off. Once I got closer to the ship, I killed the shulker that sat on top and quickly climbed aboard. I killed another shulker on the inside, looted the chest, and I finally was able to grab the elytra. I was able to quickly make a shulker box, fly down to the ground so that I was able to begin going through the actual end city. I was able to get decent loot, but this wasn't a very big end city and there wasn't much really in it. I flew to another smaller end city and I did the same thing and got a bit more loot before leaving. Now, normally this was where I was gonna leave the video, but because of how I messed up the recordings the first 3 times, I decided to go ahead and continue for a bit longer. So I was able to fly back home, put my loot in the chest, and prepared myself to make an XP farm. I decided that I wanted to make an Enderman XP farm. One, so that if I ever need to refix my tools, I can quickly do it with an Enderman farm. Also, it's just a lot easier for me to build personally. So to get started, I went to the village, got Sweeping Edge 3, got Unbreaking 3, and went back home. I enchanted the elytra with Unbreaking and Mending, and I put Sweeping Edge on the really cool sword that I got from the end city. I was able to put Efficiency 5 on my axe and shovel, put Unbreaking on my pick, and I finally put Mending on my sword. A baby pigman came through the portal and just kind of looked around and sized me up, and then he disappeared. I don't know where he went. I began to collect sugarcane to trade and turn it into paper so that I could eventually get a name tag. I quickly went back to the village, traded the paper, and sadly it wasn't enough to upgrade the librarian. I bought some glass for them, and it still was enough, but I saw that they were willing to trade books and quills. So I ran around and collected a few feathers and ink since I had a bunch of books in my bag, and I made a bunch of books and quills, forgetting that they didn't stack. So I had to clean my inventory a bit, but only threw out things that I didn't really need, and traded the books and quill. Then I was finally able to buy only one name tag. I luckily only needed one, but I like to keep spares just in case something happens. So once I got the one name tag, I went back home. I decided I was going to name the Endermite Bert and continue to prepare stuff for the XP farm. I made my way back to the end portal and quickly hopped in. I placed a lava down, and once it's reached the bottom of the world, I turned it into cobble. I made my way down and used the leaves to build out about 150 blocks. Then I started on the build. After building a majority of the build, I realized that I was gonna need more materials. So I flew back to the End Island, killed the Enderman the old-fashioned way, and went back through the portal. I forgot to reset at my bed, and sadly I appeared at spawn. But this was actually a good thing because during the end fight, I didn't get the egg because it dropped in the portal. So I quickly grabbed the egg and grabbed the materials that I was going to need to finish the XP farm. The recording again messes up here, but I didn't notice it, and it's like a weird jump in the recordings. Or I created a little area so that I can spawn an endermite. I began to hurt myself till I got an endermite, and when it started to hurt me, I climbed up a bit more. I quickly named him, got him in a minecart, and positioned him onto the farm. I cleaned up the top a little bit by removing the torches and allowing the enderman to spawn. Then I quickly went back down to the bottom to test it out. And yeah, the farm works pretty well. I was able to fix my tools and armor, so I went back home and cut down the mangrove trees and collected deep slate. I again want to apologize for how poorly recorded this video was. Hopefully I won't have any more mess-ups like this in the future, and soon we can be starting on some more interesting projects. I decided to completely stop using the recording software that I was using before and decided that I wanted to instead try something different. So I decided to download OBS instead, and hopefully future videos will be a lot better and not have these kinds of mistakes. In the next video, my plan is to actually finish the top of my base, and maybe I can make some more farms. If you like the video, leave a like, sub if you're feeling up to it, and I will see you in the next one.